Hey, what's up everybody? Here's the discussion I had with Nikita about a week or two ago that I outlined at the end of my video about video game AI design and how it related to Escape from Tarkov. If you haven't seen that video yet and want more context on this discussion, I would recommend checking that out first. The discussion began with me giving Nikita a brief summary of the high-level talking points of my video about the AI. I talked about the idea that I dive into in that video related to the scavengers and where they fit in the universe of Tarkov, using the early scene of the raid series that features a scavenger as a starting point for the discussion. Nikita explained that one of the major points of that scene was to introduce the audience to the general climate surrounding Tarkov, more specifically the locals that still inhabit it. The sort of nefarious folks that stuck around after most people have evacuated are experiencing an ongoing crisis marked by shortages in key resources like food and water, which of course leads to the eventual feeling of desperation and a mindset of survival by any means necessary. Now, a fair point that he brought up that's worth repeating is that what we saw in the raid series from the perspective of characters, especially the Scavs, was not supposed to act like a representation of the future of the game. The takeaway that we should have from that film is things like story, tone, and flavor, not actual mechanics. At that point, I asked him where the Scavs fit into his vision for the actual gameplay and for him to share some of the history of their implementation. He started at the very beginning when the Scav faction was first introduced into the game, which, if you've seen my History of Tarkov series, would have been around March of 2017.
So the initial idea of Scavs in the game was purely to have some kind of third party to fight with it, and just it. So it was never about some kind of developed characters or anything, like some kind of fully immersive groups and individuals of people, because literally we didn't have the powers, the knowledge to how to do it properly from the start. So we decided just to make some initial to take some initial approach to create this kind of AI just for the farming purposes, just for the basic shootouts, and that's it. And later we decided to add more of it, to expand their behavior and add some additional actions and the cooperation and everything. And it all led to creating the full list of AI features. And we are kind of slowly trying to add them into the game. So in the end, they will be more like real humans, and they will not only roam around with the shotguns and everything, they will behave like real humans, as close as possible as we can, and they will replicate some kind of basic actions, basic interactions. And also for you as a player Scav, you will have also some kind of tasks, and they will be simple and understandable, find food, find shelter, find protect your friends and everything. So something like this. So it started from a simple thing, just a simple AI to shoot. It started to develop right after.
At this point, I asked him about the possibility of a future where not every Scav AI would aggro a PMC, whether it was out of the desire to cooperate or simply out of fear. Should we ever expect some more friendly interactions between PMCs and the AI? We then got into an interesting discussion that gave me a little bit of a different perspective on Scavs and where they fit in the universe.
There is a huge part of the AI programming related to Scavs called peaceful behavior. And all of this peaceful behavior with the combination of a big quantity of new animations and everything, and the phrases, and they just about how could actually the AI could behave in a more peaceful way with some typical interactions and actions and overall behavior, it was presented in the raid series at the start of the raid series. And the thing is, Scavs they are basically they are the bandits, they are bad guys, and we actually didn't thought and didn't even plan to add some kind of gray morale or something into them, like to have such kind of positive relations with the bandits, because they are not key characters in the game. They even like the storyline quests even will not have them as the key characters. Yeah, of course, like the bosses will have some kind of background stories and everything, but again, they are like bandits. They're actually almost every of them out of their minds. They are kind of crazy people, you know, and it means that they need to be cleansed. That all of this like needs to be like. But we need to change things, starting with the Scavs, because they're bad. Like the whole like city was evacuated, and there is only bandits left, marauders, bandits, and everybody. Because when it comes to actual, like hypothetically to have such kind of conflict, like it's pretty common thing for the last years actually, and these kind of bandits, they are organized, they have weapons, and they are hostile. They will fight with the army, they will fight with like anybody who like in front of them, just to you know, to fulfill their like goals.
They're opportunistic. They want your shit.
Yes, they want your shit. They want to be rich. They want to be. They want to prolong the anarchy as long as possible, because this is their, you know, the area of living, the way of living, the lifestyle. They always wanted for that, and finally they got it. And this is it, because other than that, we will need to actually redesign everything to have this kind of feature that you can actually play with Scavs organically and peacefully. And again, we added this ability with the like cooperated extracts, and also the fence is a kind of the link between PMCs and Scavs, and it gives some kind of the feel of balance between these two forces, PMC and Scavs. So we have some kind of different kind of mechanisms, different kind of things that could be used in future to balance the force between PMCs and Scavs, and we can actually add something more in terms of like positive relations between Scavs, to not to have them as a like perfect target, sitting ducks and everything. They will be used not only as like the experience gain, they will be also used as, I don't know, information gain and like quest completion, for example.
In order to get a better grasp on how my understanding about the different defining qualities of each of the character archetypes compared to his personal vision, I gave him a brief rundown of what I discussed in my previous video on the topic, and asked him to comment about any of the similarities, differences, or anything else notable with that in mind. What followed was a pretty detailed deep dive into the different types of scavengers, the hierarchy that they follow, some more about the lore of the universe, and more.
Like all it describes is a correct thing, because again, the original concept of the Scav population is about gangs. So we have local gangs, like small ones, and usually it's they are like, they have boss, and they have like the circle of influence, but they are local. For example, the Gluchar on the reserve, it's his area of like expertise, and all of that Scavs and his guards, it's his gang, local gang. It has some kind of influence on other gangs, but mostly it's his place. Also, like the Sturman, he has his own gang, and all of this like roaming Scavs on woods is actually his. They are also his people, and the next level is like the bigger gangs, some kind of like boss that have the influence on the other bosses, and He actually command them and use them as a source of income and everything. So this is like the boss, for example, on the streets of Tarkov. He has an influence. It has like the higher position against them, and like the initial gang, how to say it? I don't know. Some kind of tree, like priority. Yeah, like they are above, like some kind of bosses that have the influence and on other bosses and everything, and it's like the tree of influence. Like the lowest tier of scavs. It's just like civilians who are not familiar with weapons. They don't know about anything about tactics. So it's just like the lowest possible level of scavs. So they just like low level scavs. And those who are at least familiar with something, for example, ex-police, like anybody who are like ex security guys, they at least have some experience with weapons, and some of them, like the riot police, for example, they will survive with a higher chance, and especially if they have some understanding the chain of command and everything. If they are ex-military or ex-police, they will group like-minded people with the same kind of experience. They will group more occasionally, and they will create some kind of force, and of course there will be some, like, the smartest or the strongest one. They will say that this is our boss, and will be the organized crime unit, some kind of. And they will train. They will look for the better ones, more experienced ones, and they will expand. And they will start to be not only as a force, but also as not only just a gang, with all of the stuff. They first thing they will understand that they need to survive all together. There's no need to actually kill everybody on sight, because they need to survive. And the thing is that if you will continue to kill each other, they will actually will be depleted. Yeah, and as fast as they will understand that, the more stronger they will get eventually, especially when they have an access to new weapons, to some stashes and everything. That's why they like the bosses and their gangs are usually located around the points of interest with goods, with the stashes, with the weapons, or closer to the trains, or closer to the extracts. The local order is getting built up in Tarkov as we play, and it means that these new people organizing into something bigger than just the Roman gangs. Yeah, like they understand that there is no police. We will be the police. There is no like court. We will be the court, like with the military rules. So like this world is ours already. So let's prosper. Let's use it, and let's be a new government, for example. Like the USEC, called USEC Rogues, it has the same thing. They just decided that we don't need to escape from Tarkov. We have experience, we have weapons, we have food, we have like the train, like we have friends on the trains, we have like we are friends of the lighthouse keeper. Why should we actually escape from Tarkov? We can fortify everything. We can make our own government. We could be like successful, in terms of everything is going on right now. So they just decided that they are like not only the experienced force, they're also fortified with everything, and they have an influence, and they like it's just like some kind of rating system all around the city, all around this like the area surrounding the Tarkov. The one who is strongest will survive and will like the gravitation, like everybody will come to you because you are the strongest. Everybody will want to work for you because you can provide the protection, food, shelter. And this is what actually was a long time ago in the old times, where like the people just wanted to survive, and they started to build up some kind of encampments. These encampments were upgraded to something bigger, and it was like the cities. small towns, then cities, and with the police. Police initially was purely the civilian protection teams, and then it was started being painted with the government. It became like police actually, and so this is the kind of like the reborn of the government, of the local government, for example, and these gang units, these gangs and bigger gangs, and everybody who who decided to actually live and survive, not like evacuate. They just decided that this is the perfect moment for them to make their own rules and everything. So this is it. This is like the idea.
With some of the higher level design ideas in mind, I wanted to shift the focus into the implementation of the AI and all of the aspects that make them interesting. First, I asked him to share some details about the process they go through in building, testing, and balancing some of those aspects, as well as to share some of the engineering challenges they face along the way.
When it comes to creating like the new group of scavs, for example, with some like parameters that are differs from the typical ones, we just test them and we do play testing. We gather feedback and make some changes to it. So we are. It's actually it's a hard thing for us because like it's not fully understandable how actually scavs behave right now in the game. I cannot say to you that the scavs are perfectly understandable and all of their like action, all of the behavior is like truly logical and everything. They for some reason they cannot behave the same way. They can do some really strange things due to, I don't know, lack of correct algorithms in their behavior, or some kind of issues with the locations, for example, with all of this like AI meshes and paths. So it's just like sometimes it's we cannot predict and cannot say 100% that the AI will like do this and do that. And
I want to hop in here briefly and add a bit of context as to what I believe he was talking about here, because I think it could be easily misunderstood or misinterpreted by folks who might not have experience with these sorts of complex systems. I can already hear the responses from people explaining how bad it is that they don't understand how their own systems work, but that's not really what he's saying here. For context, take a look at this visual of an actual behavior tree from one of the AI characters in The Division 2. Keep in mind that the decision-making process the AI goes through needs to take into consideration not only the actions of the characters around them, but also each of the characters' specific positions within the frankly insanely detailed locations of the world of Tarkov, and how that relates to things like line of sight, pathing, prioritization, etc. What we end up with is effectively a situation where every single encounter between the players and the AI is 100% unique. You'll pretty much never have the same engagement twice. There's an infinite number of potential initial conditions for each situation that only grows exponentially when you factor in changing circumstances like the players and the other AI characters. So I think what he's pointing out here is the idea that no matter how many times they test specific cases, all of the different behaviors or scenarios, there's always going to be all sorts of unforeseen edge cases leading to issues or bugs, especially when you have literally hundreds of thousands of people playing the game every day. Given the current implementation of the AI and related systems, something that he'll get more into later in the discussion, the end result right now is that there's just a lot of shit that happens that doesn't really make sense to them when they first see it. They usually have to look at clips, look at debug information, dig into it a bit more, figure out what caused the issue, and then they can fix it. And as frustrating as that is, in many ways, it's understandable.
Yeah, if you pick like the scenario, for example, like you are getting in the line of sight of AI, and then instantly getting out of his sight, and some of the AI will start to suppress the last position where they saw you, and it's like okay, understandable, but sometimes something is not right in terms of like the line of sight, some different objects with the wrong colliders like that needs to be used in the AI system, and it starts to behave differently. It could start to shoot in different place, or he will just not shoot at all because for him, like, you're not existing because like you're getting behind the cover that actually, like, you don't have this kind of cover. Like, it's really dependable on the configuration of the locations, because we have a lot of objects, and sometimes, like many times actually, we have and had this kind of problems, like the AI trying to move through a door, and this door were closed like several patches ago, and because his meshes were outdated, and for some reason we not updated this particular piece of the location for the AI. It's like a lot of examples of such kind of things, especially when we are adding something new. For example, like the defensive actions of rogue USECs, they are just they were done, and there were a lot of issues while we tested it, and they were too overpowered. Then they were too easy to avoid, and we started to add more and more stuff, and still didn't understand why they behave like poorly. So sometimes they will shoot you on sight with a millisecond, and sometimes they just like don't see you at all. And like we discovered that due to some inner error, this new type of AI will revert to the standard AI type. Like all of this rogue USECs behave as a typical basic low-level scav, and we try to force this basic AI to take the stationary weapons and try to shoot, and we didn't understand why he like can't shoot with the stationary weapon. And when we the several days were passed, and we discovered that this like changed it, and everything became like totally different, and we needed to start like rerun every test again, change a lot of things again, and still there is an issues with them. All I can say that with all of the clips you sent to me, it's a conflict of prioritizations. So they have a lot of behaviors, and sometimes the priority of them is missed or something, and they just start to move erratically, and like it all looks like they're broken.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the main issue with them, like they have a lot of things going on in their heads, and the prioritization is not working well. It's not working correctly, and that's why they need to, like, if they seize you in a really close situation, they flip you really often without any reason. They just flip you. Why they flip you if they must shoot at you because you are standing right in front of them? The same thing is that they are dropping to the prone position every single time, and it's not meant to be, because there is an algorithm of them to change the stance, and it must be locked for far distances. It's prioritized in the grass and everything, but sometimes it's just something missed, and they utilize the algorithm that are not supposed to be utilized at that moment in that particular case. So like we understand that, and that's what we will fix in the future updates for sure. And because the amount of different kind of actions, different kind of, I don't know how to say it, like actions, like different kind of things that AI can do, like it's a really big amount of different kind of actions here, and all we need is to like program it like correctly with all this prioritization and everything.
Now, after this, we talked a bit about something that I can totally empathize with from my years of writing software, and that's the seemingly inevitable moment in time where you realize that the systems you built, no matter how much foresight you had, no matter how good your architecture is, they were never built with all of the information that you have now, all of the experience you have now, all of the context and hindsight. Unfortunately, you almost never have the full picture in view when you start something. Compare that to something like building a house. It's a finite project with a clear beginning and end, and you have all of the blueprints and schematics already laid out for everything from the foundation to the electrical and plumbing. With all that knowledge, it's so much easier to properly plan what you need to do each step of the way and make the entire process go as smoothly as possible. Unfortunately, software isn't always like that, especially for small teams, indie game developers with relatively low experience. If we use the building a house example as a metaphor for how different software development is, it's more like you know that you want to build a sweet mansion at some point in the future. You currently have a team of 5 people to help. You've got a ton of ideas. You've got dreams for things that you'd love to do, but don't even know how to yet. Maybe you want a sweet rec room with an indoor pool and a wet bar, a big garage for all your cars to fit in, a big master bedroom with a sweet closet and a dope shower, and hopefully one day if you're lucky and don't go broke in the process, you'll be able to do all those things. You start by building a little shack because, you gotta start somewhere. You incrementally build on top of that the things that make the most sense, and at some point it becomes pretty cool and folks start moving in and hanging out while you're adding onto it piece by piece and getting a better idea. Maybe they start to give you ideas and feedback about the stuff that they want, and you try to accommodate many of those ideas as best as you can. As you get further along in the process, you get more experienced, your team grows, and you start to develop a more cohesive plan and a vision for what you want to do, and then at some point you look at what you have and realize that it's just not adequate for all of that stuff you want to do. You want that indoor pool over here, but you realize that you didn't account for all of the plumbing you'd need to connect to make that work. You built a garage earlier for your 3 cars and then built all this other shit around it, but now you have 12 cars that you need to fit, so your only option is to build a second garage somewhere over here, but you're going to need to build a second driveway, and you didn't account for that either. At some point, you begin to wonder if it makes sense to tear down what you have and just start over with all that experience and knowledge that you have now that you didn't before, and that's an interesting and challenging thing to consider.
And the perfect thing, is to rewrite AI from the scratch, but I don't know. It sounds really complicated because a lot of things were done, and I don't know what's easier for us to find some issues and fix them for a week or two, or rewrite the whole AI system in a half of the year, and it will bring another issues to a new one, and the AI will be the same, but at least without these unpredictable things and strange behavior. Because that's the main challenge, actually. Because we have to do it. It's not only about the Scav AI, for example. It's also about some crucial features, the basic features of the game. We add some advanced stuff into the core, for example, weapon malfunctions and inertia and everything. It touches the core of the game, and it means that it wasn't created from scratch. The architecture of one feature or another feature wasn't created from scratch, and this is a challenge. And also the AI is also the big challengeable thing, because it's really complicated, and it's always a hard task for us to it's not actually the hard task for us. It's a pretty understandable and common task to make some advanced things within the AI, but due to its complexity and everything, it could lead to different kind of errors and everything. It could lead to some of the sub features they will just not work, or it will be broken or something eventually with the patches and everything. With the fixes, we can bring another issues and everything, because this system were created a long time ago, and it's being reworked to add new abilities, and also with the Unity upgrades, there is also a need to upgrade the whole AI system that will allow us to add more different kind of features to the AI system. So exactly, it's we are trying to fix and upgrade the train while it's moving on the tracks. So that's a really hard task, especially because all of these passengers on the train, they are not happy with any kind of issue during the ride, and that means that we need to take it more cautiously and with more attention, and of course it's not possible to make it like 100% smooth, because especially with all of these additions for like for new AI bosses features, we need to reprogram different kind of things, reuse something, and sometimes it breaks different kind of aspects. Not even related to AI, it could break something related for the core, and it could bring a lot of errors. For example, it could lead to increased load on the servers too.
Yep.
So yeah, like if like there were a perfect past that which allows us to actually redo everything from scratch from the start. Of course, we would take into consideration a lot of different kind of things, and we cut a lot of different like unneeded features and saved a lot of time. But it's just a dream.
I then asked him how much of the things that he predicted or planned for originally hadn't changed, how many things had he foreseen, what sorts of things he expected along the way.
Yeah, like many things. I think the most part of the game design, it was initially in my head for a long time ago, and some of the like key concepts of the game and all of the, I don't know, the products players use right now or used before, like meters and like different game patterns, and for example this red and chad gameplay styles, most of that I actually predicted that this exactly will be, especially I like have had a lot of these features that we are still planning, and most of them are already in the game, and I like literally understood long time ago that this feature will lead to this feature will lead to that, and most of these predictions were correct. But of course, like also the big part, it was unpredicted, especially the popularity, especially the thing that we need to adapt the game to wider audience, because we need to find the perfect balance between this niche hardcore gamers and a little bit wider audience, to transform this wider audience into the hardcore gamers. And it is like it was really unpredicted for me, and it led to different kind of corrections within the game design, and some of the features were cut, some of the new features were created, and some of the old features were redesigned to fit in all of this, like new players and the new approach to gaming. I don't know how to say it, like, because the gaming is also changing. Like it was already 6 years of the production, and all of the market is changing, and the players are changing too, so we need to adapt to it too. I think like 60% of the game, 65% of the game is what it's meant to be a long time ago, and the other part is just the symbiosis of everything that I described, all of these redesigns and adaptations and everything.
Gotcha.
To be on the same flow with the community.
This brought us to the part of the discussion where we talked about giving and receiving feedback, reporting bugs, and some of the number of challenges that they face during this process, where lots of folks tend to misunderstand intended features as bugs, make assertions about specific bugs they claim to have encountered, and assume their initial assumptions are correct, how rumors get spread related to these sorts of things on the forums and in the subreddit, and more. To begin, he gave a quick rundown on the current state of the AI and commented on some of the specific features that I had mentioned in my video.
Because literally, we like several months ago, people started to respond like, "Oh, the AI is like really good." They started to behave like a real person. They pick insights like we actually did the sites picking and everything a long time ago, and it became clear that this one were broken for a long time ago, and just like several months ago we fixed it somehow, and yeah, like this is not the only case. The first thing is that AI is simplified, of course, because we need to some of the things like were initially created like this, so they do not behave. They don't have any, like, not like, I don't know how to say it, like they don't have a part of effects that you can have, especially for example the aim punch and everything. And we actually adding all of this stuff to them, because sometimes it creates a lot of issues when we, well, like for example we added inertia. The inertia initially it was on the Scavs too, but it led to different kind of issues related to their positioning and synchronization. So we decided to switch it off, because literally we needed to upload 12.12. We didn't have much time to fix it, so we will add inertia for them, and we will add more stuff that you can have too, and at least they will have more predictability, so you will know that you will hit them and they will behave like a real player. And also they will not have an ability to instantly stop and change the direction, because they will have inertia. Because yes, like the technical things, and not even technical, like functional features that you have, the player have, some of them are not exist right now with the Scavs. And also there is a thing like I don't know how to say, a general lack of response for them. Like you described that the different games, the AI have some kind of response, and you understand that they are retreating or they hurt or everything. We have everything like this in Scavs also, a lot of reaction and everything, but again, some of them are still waiting to be done. So like they actually say a lot of things. Yes, on Russian they have ammo depletion, different kind of injuries. They respond for their teammates getting killed and everything. But yeah, I guess we need to add more stuff to them. And sometimes it's just we don't know. We, like, player don't understand. He did something to them. He, like, player actually hit some Scav, and he just don't understand what's going on. Why is he standing still, or like why he started running for some reason? And yeah, like the typical like limping animation will help. A lot of things, literally like 90% of the issues with the AI logically, like, could be explained logically. And it's not actually an issue, but the 10%, maybe more, like 15%, okay, it could be an issue, different kind of issues, and that's what spoils the whole concept. Like, if we decide to show you, like I don't know, like the video, educational video of all of the features that AI can do, like during combat or the peaceful behavior, and people will know that, oh, okay, that was the feature. And still there is a chance that something will be not a feature, will be just a bug. And that's why we need to get rid of like every issue in AI to have this perfect model. And I don't know, we will I give them explanations and everything, because literally even this concept of different tier Scavs, we're still working on concept that they will change their appearance in terms of clothing. So the lowest one, low tier, low reputational Scavs will be in different clothes, like more worn and everything. So you will understand, okay, this hobo, with the shotgun, he will behave poorly in terms of combat, and I don't need any special tactics to kill him, and most likely he will not have anything valuable. But this guy with the helmet and the good pants, yeah, and like, it's not finished. It's not finished. It's all like still a bunch of different things, and we're all trying to take the pace with all of this like progress and the popularity to give people at least something to be played with.
Now, here's where he gets into the first example of something that is a common misconception, honestly, something that I was guilty of assuming myself, related to the AI, more specifically the rogues in this case, tracking or following you when you think you should be behind cover. I described to him an example where I had peeked up from one location, got shot at by one of the rogues that was on a mounted machine gun, then I went prone and crawled quite a long distance behind cover, repositioned and thought I would be in a better position to take another shot, and the moment I peeked, I was instantly killed by the same rogue. Again, my assumption was that they basically had wall hacks, they could see my position the whole time and were following me the entire way. It turns out that it very well may be that this isn't the case at all, and there might be a simpler explanation.
They imagine that you have the gun emplacement and the perfect, like the cone of view.
Yeah.
You can see everything in front of you.
Yep.
And you can easily understand that, okay, there is 2 points where the enemy could be passed by, left or right. Due to like almost instant reaction, it's like this. He was pointing on the last, simply moves to your position, to your new position. They do this really fast.
Now be careful not to confuse what he's saying here. He's not saying that this isn't a problem. He's just pointing out that the problem isn't necessarily what people are claiming it is. In one case, folks are claiming that there's a bug that the AI tracks you through walls or behind cover, when in reality it's not so much a bug, but instead more of a tuning or balancing issue caused by the instantaneous reaction time of the rogues. Now it goes without saying that from our perspective, the two are basically interchangeable. They both lead to shitty gameplay experiences for the players. But it's important to understand this distinction because these sorts of idiosyncrasies make all the difference in the world when it comes to communication between the developers and the community. He then gives another example very much related to this idea, but also gives us some insights into the sorts of information that they have when they're figuring out what these actual issues are that people are reporting.
95% of these cases were investigated, and there is a perfect, understandable, and logical reason for their deaths. For example, there was from time to time on the Reddit you can saw clips where you got aggroed on rogue USECs on emplacements, and you get into this buildings with the metal walls, and you start going inside of the building, and then you're like you die from the shot through this building from the machine gun, and it all looks like it was a wall hack, like the AI on the machine gun shot you through the walls. And we actually added some debug thing in our tools. We can see the exact traces of the bullets and see how it was exactly on the server. And we discovered that due to instant reaction of USEC rogues, right now it's almost instant. We will make it not instant a little bit later because we didn't have it in time before the New Year's. Due to instant nature of their reaction, they see you through these small windows under the ceiling, and they see you and they know that they can penetrate this building. This was specifically designed that they know about their weapon penetrations. People just got used to this principle that AI behaves differently. It's not supposed that AI will behave like you. And also another reason, also on a Lighthouse, like many people said that they are broken, they shoot through the terrain, through hills and everything. And they send clips when they are hitting the dirt, lying behind the hill, and the machine gunner shooting, trying to, like, all of this impacts is somewhere near you on above this hill, near this hill, and it all looks like they are trying to get you through the hill. And this thing was the suppressive fire, actually, because they saw you for some moment you like get in cover, you got in cover, and they're just trying to force you out, and they trying to put bullets around this place.
I can definitely empathize with Nikita here because even I have to deal with these sorts of things multiple times on a daily basis, and I'm not even BSG. I constantly have folks coming in showing me clips that they think are proof of things like invincibility glitches, ballistics bugs, speed hackers, or more, when I can honestly say that 98% of what I'm shown are clear and obvious examples of things like lag or desync, or people's misunderstandings about things like height over bore, what it is and how it affects where bullets are going to land on targets. I get so many of these reports every single day, so much that now I basically can't help but dismiss almost all of them unless I'm given some sort of clip to watch, because every time I've actually been given evidence to examine, it's obvious that the person doesn't understand what actually happened, and there's actually a reasonable alternative explanation. I'm sure Nikita not only gets orders of magnitude more misreported issues, but he also has the benefit of being able to examine the mountains of data he has on the back end to get realistic, unbiased pictures on what's actually going on. And once again, this isn't the denial or dismissal of issues. I literally just came out with a video that's over an hour long complaining about all sorts of issues with the game. Not to mention that Nikita himself admits that there's all sorts of problems and issues that they want to correct. It just comes down to being informed, accurate, and fair with your criticisms. That's all. Now, from just some of the examples that Nikita talked about, hopefully we all have a bit more context surrounding some of the weirdness we experience in-game and why Nikita says the sorts of things he says in response to people who complain about very specific issues when those folks might not have the full picture. Despite what a loud minority of folks in the community may say, Nikita isn't in denial about the issues that we're facing. Sometimes he might not be aware of certain problems, but the man isn't omniscient. He's always been honest and reasonable about the issues that we face, and has always been receptive to constructive criticism and well-structured feedback with evidence. The more I talk with him, the more I have confidence that he has a better grasp on many of the things that I might not have initially assumed. Additionally, he brings up a few fair points worth mentioning that have to do with our expectations.
Like, we are talking about the AI, and looks like we are talking about some finished feature of the game. And all I can say that it's not finished at all. Like, we can all the issues that you experience, it's known actually, and it bothers, and like a lot of things need to be done to have this behavior and everything to be more realistic and more natural, because right now it's not natural at all. Sometimes it looks like natural in fights, but other than that, it doesn't feel good enough. Sometimes I really hate how the AI behave. Like, it's unacceptable, and it doesn't even not about like, I don't know, like their strange, typical strange things like the stance repositioning and unexpected turns and everything. Sometimes it's just like unreal. It looks like they are stupid bots or something.
Yeah.
And I'm always trying to get the idea that it's not good, and they fix it. There's a lot of handwork in the AI system. We need to place like different kind of, not waypoints, but points where they behave differently. We need to avoid some problematic areas related to physics and everything. And sometimes it's not done perfectly. It's not done even good enough to avoid these things. That's why they can go through walls and everything, or the train, and it all looks like they are broken. Like, it's like really bad that they done poorly and everything. And I can agree with that. I agree on that, because literally it's not what meant to be in the game in terms of AI. Because I understand that it will not be perfect. It will not be like something like, we never said that AI in the game will be something groundbreaking.
Yeah.
We just need to make it suitable, like, and balanced.
We then got deeper into the rogues on Lighthouse and some of the serious balancing issues that I've been arguing have existed since they were added to the game.
but also there will be bosses over there, pretty unique bosses, and I don't understand how it will be, because the initial design for them, they are pretty badass, and coupling with the Scav rogues with all these guns, I think it will be almost impossible to get into the compound. And it was an idea to have this kind of compound on the Lighthouse. I said the first time I asked, I told people to add the water treatment facility. I said that it must be a fortified location that will be almost impossible to take, because not about like there will be some impossible guards, like invisible walls and invisible snipers. We need to create AI that will be defending this place realistically. We tested this AI, specific AI, and we kinda overtuned it for a purpose, for a reason, for the early wipe especially, because I just decided to make them like really hard, even impossible, just for the sake of not ruining the economy, because they got a lot of really good loot everywhere, and it kind of worked actually.
One of the things I feel quite strongly about and felt like I needed to double down on at this point in the discussion is how tuning and balancing of the AI historically has gone, and currently how it's ultimately negatively impacting the experience for many players of the game. Now let me try and break this down as quickly as possible just so you can understand what I at least tried to communicate to Nikita at this point in the discussion. It's totally understandable that they needed to overtune the rogues in order to prevent them from being easily farmed by anybody due to the time constraints and all the issues that we're running into in an attempt to avoid hurting the early wipe economy and progression. Where the issue comes is from the situation that we're left with as a community. When it comes to the rogues, there's really two types of players. There are people that have figured out how to take advantage of what are undoubtedly flaws in their design, whether that's their figurative or literal blind spots, and can easily farm them, making the completion of quests and farming the area for its high-tier loot trivial. Now this can be quite easy for lots of people, especially given the countless guides that are out there outlining exactly how and what to do with nearly no risk, and it's obvious that some people really enjoy this. Now on the other hand, you have the rest of the players, I'll just refer to them as the normal players, who attempt to play it like any reasonable, skilled first-person shooter player would, using tactics like sneaking, repositioning, sniping from areas that should theoretically provide visual cover. The problem is that approaching the challenge of taking on the rogues like this is basically impossible. With the exception of a few entirely arbitrary key locations, the rogues have effectively perfect vision, perfect aim, and mentioned in my video, they are not affected by things like aim punch, recoil, inertia, lighting, etc. So approaching this as a normal player can only reasonably result in failure and frustration, entirely out of their control. Obviously, this situation sucks for the second half of the community, but I want to argue that this state of affairs is much worse for the game in general and for the community as a whole. What you have is half of the folks rightfully upset that they're trying to play the game in a way that Nikita would actually want them to play, but it's impossible for them to do so, and the other half of the community is effectively telling them, what do you mean? It's fun, it's easy, I farm them all day, no problem, just get good. The problem is that Nikita, not wanting them to be farmed, is aware of all of this farming that's going on, whether it's directly or indirectly, and then what do you think he does? He turns up the dials to make them even more challenging. Better aim, more HP, better vision, which only serves to make them even more impossible for the normal players, but none of those changes do anything to affect the players who are actually farming them. They're just cheesing the flaws in their programming. Every day, more and more players are forced to adopt this sort of playstyle that, again, I don't think Nikita would really want. All the while, you still have half of the community frustrated and the other half telling them how shitty they are at the game, which is reinforced by all of the content creators on YouTube and on Twitch, going through with their groups and farming them all day long, making millions of rubles. This, of course, just leads to more of a division in the community and doesn't really motivate Nikita to do anything else other than keep turning the dials up past 10. Now, I've gone through and cleared out the entire rogue encampment using the different well-known methods that you can see in all sorts of guides on YouTube, and can honestly say without a doubt that this is not how Nikita wants the game to be played. And honestly, it's not even fun. There's no skill, there's no strategy, there's no challenge. It's mindless, and it's boring. All of the unearned hubris had by so many in the community that leads them to talk down to all of the players that are reasonably struggling in the game also leads Nikita to try and answer this in the worst way possible, inevitably turning the AI into invincible aimbotting wall hacking gods, just like we've seen over and over with other higher class AI characters, who are of course still easily cheesable by folks who want to play this way. I did my best to try to communicate these ideas to Nikita, explaining how I thought that in the meantime, until the AI can be designed in a way that allows for normal players who are smart and tactical to have any chance at successfully infiltrating this camp and surviving against the rogues, that they should instead be tuned way down. Right now, I would argue that this isn't really a tuning issue, it's a design issue. But at the same time, I accept that they don't have the time to go ahead and redesign everything, so it seems like in the meantime, the only reasonable thing they can do is adjust the tuning. I genuinely think there's a middle ground solution that likely involves tuning the rogues way down until they're redesigned, and I think that the benefits both to the gameplay experience as well as the community far outweigh the risks.
Yes, and it's also it's predictable for them to cheese it out, even if the all of this AI on the base would be like really smart and everything, and it will be possible for the real player to get into the base. Still, there will be
People that'll cheese it.
Players who will cheese it out and find their weaknesses in the flaws of the system. So, like, it's understandable again. It's not good, of course, and I specifically forced correct tuning of this AI because I'm waiting for the bosses. Because the bosses will change things because they will work with all of this personnel on this base, and I think with the bosses we will able to tweak them and make them more real. So still it must be really hard to capture this base, but at least you will have the chance for it, like with your skill, with your equipment, or with the team. Let's see how it will be with the bosses. So, like, 100% there will be changes. There will be changes about the AI, the rogues AI.
Mm-hmm.
We will see how it will be, because I really don't want to change anything right now.
Yeah.
About them, it's better to have this fresh look on them with the bosses and everything. I think it will be better. Right now, let it be this way. Maybe we will change something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, because like the cheesing, the exploding, it's not good.
To finish up, I wanted to ask Nikita to give us some perspective on some things that I don't think we've really heard before. This time giving us some insights on the inner workings of the development team, including the folks on the AI team, details about some of their design teams, as well as how they go about testing all of the fixes and changes that they come up with before these big patches.
They were hired as Unity programmers, but they started their work specifically on the AI, and it's just the AI they worked on for a long time already. And also we have a specific person from the game design team who's responsible for the AI design, and he's responsible for feature owning and everything. So it helps to communicate with the testers team, the AI team, and he's I actually give him all of the concept. I alter his designs based on my initial task, and usually usually when it comes to create, for example, new bosses, he just asks oh, it's time for us to make a design. Could you explain a little bit more what's this boss is about? What's the behavior? He's the background actually, and I record a file with the explanation. Who is he? What he do? What he does in different kind of situations, his weapons and everything. And after that, after some time will pass, he creates the basic design document about this boss. I change it, alter it, and when it comes to approval, actually approve it, and this design is getting for actually this design getting for the team, and this team is not only about the AI programmers, it's also like the character animations and stuff, like art department they are also included because they do the models and stuff. And they start to program it on the basic models, basic AI, and add this kind of different kind of features. And then they have a pretty big amount of time testing it internally, then like the play testing and everything. And they constantly show me what's going on. I constantly saying like this is not right, or better remove this one from the indoor locations because they behave like really stupid in there. And this is it. And it's always in iterations, actually, because we cannot do everything in the same iteration. And usually it comes like we update the game with the new AI additions or bosses, and it's always like a first iteration, and later we add something more to make something interesting. And as I said before, something can break. It's a typical thing, actually. We have several types of testing. Again, like 4 even, or 5 types of testing. I will start from the deepest one to a normal public one. The first one is the initial feature owner test. A feature owner, the game designer, for example, who responsible for the feature, he tests things personally during the development period of this feature. Like some scenarios, like offline build, testing in the editor also.
Yeah.
With a lot of different kind of parameters. That's initial testing. The second one is the Q&A testing, and it also consists of several, parts. But in general, it's a Q&A testing. It's internal testing team, Q&A team. They have the procedure, the plan of testing. They have the full explanation of feature. They have the parts, like the points, the test list or something. They test every single aspect of the feature. They try to break it.
Yep.
They try to break it and everything. The third type of testing is play testing. Play testing is we have build, special build. It's not a editor thing. It's built game, and we have some kind of list what to test, what to expect. And the testers are guys from our team. It's the team members, from the art department, from animators, programmers, community management, for those who are available. And sometimes they're not a mandatory. Sometimes it is a mandatory 1 hour per day, for example. We are testing things. For example, when we prepared the 12.12, we have the mandatory 1 and 2 hour testing period during the day. It's working hours. It's not something additional, but it's working hours, and they just tested things. For example, new map, the AI on the new location, new weapons, inertia, weapon malfunctions. We gave them weapons. They were depleted to 0, and everything, ammunition, new items. Together on the server, we tested different kind of locations. They were online. They tested VoIP. They got when they tested VoIP, they just the task was to constantly speak everything, constantly everybody will speak in all around the server, 15 players to measure the load of the VoIP. And usually during the preparations, in parallel, Q&A team started more detailed testing, smoke testing, and approval testing, and different kind of things related to the actual preparation of the release candidate. But and in the same moment, we test every single day, several times per day. We tested different kind of features. The fourth one is the ETS servers, of course.
Yep.
So Some of the features we will test on ETS on the 12.12. This is like really helpful thing because this is a separate environment with the polls, with the statistics, with the reports, and like a lot of people were, like they helped us a lot to find many things, especially the feedback, like initial feedback on inertia and everything. Like it was really helpful, and this is the first time. And some of the features are not on the ETS, especially those features that we want to be
keep secret
as a surprise, a secret. For example, yes, there were nothing about airdrops, and we are like I really wanted to be surprised. The fifth one is like the general preparedness of the release candidate, and the sixth is beta testing. It's a release, it's still a beta and still needs to be tested, and usually it's the most productive testing. Hundreds of thousands players playing at the same time, and getting all of the stats, getting all of these things that we didn't even predict it to be, especially in terms of load, high load. For example, all these problems with the backend, they were unpredicted because it is only, we can see them only on the high loads, and we cannot do these high loads here, and we cannot do the specific unit tests and everything to have this kind of things, because literally it's all of the superposition of everything. For example, today's malfunctions were related to started DDoS, and DDoS was like linked to some minor failures, so everything's failed and everything. And yeah, like we cannot predict it, and then we cannot test it properly before the release.
Yeah.
So this is it, like the whole process, and this testing period is really, really large, because as always, during this testing period, all of these phases, there's a lot of issues, there's lots of fixes, like hundreds of fixes that's ongoing. Yeah, and the shame is that all of this overloading and stuff, it got us really frustrated.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a single day to rest, starting from the 1st of January, because in Russia we have like the holidays, like 2 weeks holidays, and even we added additional week of holidays, it's still, I didn't have the time to rest. And it's not only me, also for those who are working on the resolving the issues, and it's a shame. Like, I don't know, this is it. I don't know why it is still in the production, but even when the feature is getting approved by the feature owner, and when it started to be tested within the playtesters team, it's still a lot of issues in there. It's not only the balancing issues, it's like issues, errors, problems, crashes, and everything else related to a particular feature or in general. That's why the final approval testing is so important, because guys, the Q&A testing every aspect of the game for the 3 days.
Yeah, the full regression integration.
Full regression. Yeah, and it was done like by the pretty big team of testers, and they tested it the whole days, 24 hours per 3 days, in different groups, and just to make it faster. And actually, they did a great job. And 12.12 was a really good patch in terms of like general quality of the patch.
I'm going to have to completely agree with Nikita there in terms of the quality of 12.12. Despite the issues that we faced, I personally think it's safe to say that 12.12 was their most successful patch ever. And despite all of the challenges that they had to face and how little rest Nikita and the folks at BSG have had over the holidays and into the new year, despite it being after 8 p.m. in Moscow time on a Saturday night, after Nikita had spent most of his Saturday dealing with server load issues and other problems caused by stuff like DDoSing, he still took 2 hours out of his day to sit down with me and answer a bunch of questions about Battlestate, all of the folks working on all of the teams, some of the challenges they face, some of the issues that are present, and what their plans are for the future. Honestly, can't thank you enough, Nikita, for coming and chatting, being so willing to be transparent and share all that information with the community, and willing to sit and listen to all of the feedback that the community gives them. I hope that everybody watching this video enjoyed the talk. Next time you see Nikita on a dev blog or hanging out in someone's Twitch chat, show him some love. He deserves it. And if you want to help improve the game and the community like I do, share this video with your Tarkov friends. Leave a comment with your thoughts. Give the video a like and sub if you haven't already. Appreciate you guys, and until next time.